React to Nothing: How to Become Dangerously Confident, written and published by Echo Elevate. Introduction. They want your reaction. That is where your power begins. Most people live on emotional autopilot. They react before they think. They explain when no explanation is needed. They defend when silence would have been stronger. This book is about stepping out of that trap. React to Nothing is not about becoming cold or distant. It is about becoming centered. It is about choosing calm when chaos tries to pull you in. It is about building a confidence so solid that nothing outside of you can shake it. When you stop reacting, something changes. You see situations clearly. You control your emotions instead of being controlled by them. You move with intention, not impulse. This book will show you how to do that. You will learn why emotional restraint creates authority. You will understand why silence often speaks louder than words. You will discover how detachment builds respect instead of losing it. And you will learn how confident people stay unbothered in moments that break others. Dangerous confidence is not loud. It does not chase attention. It does not seek approval. It is calm. It is grounded. It is unshakable. Throughout this audiobook, you will be guided through ideas, mindsets, and practical shifts that help you stay steady under pressure. The focus is simple. Control your reactions, and you control your life. This is not motivation for a moment. This is a framework for how to move through the world, quietly, intentionally, powerfully. By the end of this book, you will not need to prove yourself. You will not need to explain yourself. Your presence will speak for you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Not Reacting. Most people think power is loud. They think power looks like quick responses, sharp words, and visible emotion. They believe reacting fast shows confidence. It does not. Real power begins when you pause. Not reacting does not mean you are weak. It means you are in control. It means you decide what deserves your energy and what does not. Every day people are pulled into arguments they did not need. They explain themselves to people who never intended to understand. They give emotional reactions to situations designed to provoke them. And every time they react without thinking, they give away power. Imagine a calm lake. Now imagine someone throwing stones into it all day. If the lake reacts to every stone, it never becomes still. But when the stones stop, the lake remains calm because it never chased the disturbance. This is the mindset of not reacting. When you do not react, you stay centered. You see the situation clearly. You respond only when it serves you. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is emotional. Responding is intentional. Most people react because they are afraid of silence. Silence feels uncomfortable to them. They think they must fill it with words or actions. Confident people are comfortable with silence. They let moments breathe. They let others reveal themselves. Consider a real-world example. Two people receive criticism at work. One reacts immediately. They defend themselves. They raise their voice. They explain every detail. The other person pauses. They listen. They nod. They say very little. Who looks more confident? The calm one does. The person who does not react sends a powerful message. They say without words that they are not shaken. They show they trust themselves. Not reacting also protects your mental energy. Every reaction costs something. It costs focus. It costs peace. It costs clarity. When you react to everything, you live in a constant state of tension. Your mind never rests. Your emotions stay activated. But when you choose not to react, your mind stays sharp. You conserve energy. You move with purpose. This is why leaders are often quiet. They speak last. They do not rush into emotional decisions. They understand something most people do not. The first reaction is rarely the best one. Think about social situations. Someone makes a sarcastic comment. Someone tries to test you. Someone wants a response. If you react emotionally, you give them what they want. You give them control over your state of mind. But when you do not react, the power shifts. The moment becomes awkward for them, not you. They lose leverage. Silence can feel uncomfortable at first. That is normal. Your mind is used to reacting, but discomfort is part of growth. Here is a simple practice. The next time you feel triggered, pause. Take one slow breath. Do not speak immediately. Ask yourself one question. Does reacting help me right now? Most of the time, the answer is no. Another powerful shift is learning that not everything deserves a response. Some comments are bait. Some opinions are noise. Some conflicts are distractions. You do not owe everyone your emotions. You do not owe everyone an explanation. This does not mean you avoid responsibility. It means you choose your battles. Confidence grows when you stop proving yourself. It grows when you trust your position without defending it. Think of the most confident people you know. They are not rushing to explain. They are not constantly reacting. They move slowly. They speak clearly. They act when it matters. That calm is not accidental. It is practiced. At first, not reacting feels unnatural. Your ego wants to jump in. It wants to protect itself. But over time, something changes. You start to feel grounded. You feel less pulled by outside forces. You realize that peace is not passive. It is powerful. Not reacting gives you time. Time to think. Time to choose. Time to stay aligned with who you want to be. This is where dangerous confidence begins. Not in dominance. Not in aggression. But in restraint. When people cannot predict your reactions, they lose control over you. When emotions no longer dictate your behavior, you gain authority over yourself. This chapter is the foundation of everything that follows. If you master this, the rest becomes easier. You do not need to win every moment. You need to stay steady. The power of not reacting is simple, but it is not easy. And that is why so few people have it. From here forward, you will learn how to strengthen this ability, how to remain calm under pressure, how to stay unbothered in a world that thrives on noise. This is not about becoming passive. It is about becoming intentional, and it starts with one choice. You stop reacting. Chapter 2. Why emotional control is real strength. Most people misunderstand strength. They think strength is force. They think it is dominance, volume, and visible emotion. It is not. Real strength is control. Anyone can lose their temper. Anyone can react when they feel threatened. Anyone can raise their voice, argue, or lash out. That takes no skill. What takes strength is staying calm when emotions demand action. What takes discipline is holding your ground without raising your tone. What takes power is choosing restraint when reaction feels easier. Emotional control is not suppression. It is direction. When you control your emotions, you do not deny them. You acknowledge them. Then you decide what to do with them. Most people skip that step. They feel first and act immediately. They allow emotions to drive behavior. This is why emotional people are predictable. Push the right button, and they respond on cue. Their reactions can be triggered, guided, and exploited. Controlled people are different. They pause, they observe, they choose. That pause is strength. Think about pressure situations, a disagreement at work, a tense conversation at home, an unexpected challenge in public. One person becomes defensive. Their voice changes. Their body tightens. They rush to protect their ego. The other person stays steady. Their tone remains calm. Their words are measured. Who holds the power? It is always the one who remains composed. Emotional control gives you clarity. When emotions run high, judgment runs low. your mind narrows. You miss details. You make mistakes. Calm widens perception. You see options. You notice tone, timing, and intention. This is why emotional control is linked to intelligence, not academic intelligence, practical intelligence. It allows you to act instead of react. There is also a hidden benefit most people overlook. Emotional control earns trust. People trust those who are stable. They feel safe around them. They listen to them. Uncontrolled emotion creates uncertainty. People do not know what version of you they will get. That unpredictability weakens influence. Strong leaders are emotionally regulated. They do not panic under pressure. They do not explode under stress. They become anchors when others feel lost. This does not mean they feel nothing. It means they manage what they feel. Consider a real-world example. A manager receives bad news. The project failed. The team is watching. If the manager reacts emotionally, panic spreads. Fear takes over. Blame follows. If the manager stays calm, the room settles. Focus returns. Solutions become possible. Same situation, different emotional control, completely different outcome. This applies to personal life as well. Arguments often escalate, not because of the issue, but because of emotional reaction. One comment leads to another. Tone replaces logic. Ego replaces understanding. Emotional control interrupts that cycle. It slows the moment down. It prevents damage that cannot be undone. One of the strongest habits you can build is emotional delay. Delay does not mean avoidance. It means timing. You allow the emotion to pass before acting. You give your nervous system time to settle. You let logic return. A simple rule can change everything. Never respond while emotionally charged. This applies to messages, decisions, and conversations. Wait until your body feels calm, then decide. Another powerful shift is understanding that emotions are signals, not commands. They inform you. They do not control you. Anger may signal a boundary. Fear may signal risk. Discomfort may signal growth. But signals still require interpretation. You do not act on every signal without thought. People who lack emotional control often regret their words. They say things they cannot take back. They damage relationships in moments of intensity. Controlled people protect their future selves. They think beyond the moment. They act with awareness. Emotional control also builds inner confidence. When you know you can handle pressure, fear loses power. You trust yourself in difficult situations. You stop worrying about losing control. That trust creates calm. At first, emotional control feels like effort. You will feel the urge to react. Your body will resist restraint. That is normal. Strength is built through resistance. Each time you choose control, you reinforce it. Each time you pause, you grow steadier. Each time you stay calm, your confidence deepens. Over time, emotional control becomes your default. You stop being pulled into chaos. You stop absorbing other people's emotions. You become grounded. This is why emotional control is real strength. It cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It is built internally, moment by moment, choice by choice. This strength is quiet. It does not announce itself, but it is felt. People sense it in your presence. They hear it in your tone. They see it in your restraint. And once you have it, very little can shake you. That is the kind of strength this book is about. Chapter 3. Detachment is not weakness. Detachment is often misunderstood. Many people think it means you do not care. They think it means distance, coldness, or avoidance. It does not. Detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the absence of dependency. When you are attached, your emotions depend on outcomes. They depend on approval. They depend on how others behave. That dependency creates vulnerability. Detachment removes that vulnerability. It allows you to stay steady, regardless of what happens around you. You remain present without being controlled. Most people confuse attachment with passion. They believe caring deeply requires emotional intensity, but intensity often clouds judgment. Detached people care with clarity. They engage without losing balance. They remain involved without becoming reactive. This is strength, not weakness. Think about situations where detachment changes everything. Someone criticizes you. If you are attached to being liked, the comment hurts deeply. You feel the need to defend yourself. If you are detached, you listen. You decide if the criticism matters. You keep your composure. Detachment gives you space. Space between stimulus and response. Space to choose. This space is where power lives. Another example is ambition. Attached ambition says, I must win or I am nothing. Detached ambition says, I will give my best, no matter the outcome. Which mindset lasts longer? Attachment burns people out. Detachment sustains momentum. Detached people do not chase validation. They build from internal standards. Their confidence is self-generated. This is why detachment often looks intimidating. People expect emotional reactions. When they do not get them, they feel unsettled. Silence, calm, and emotional distance can feel uncomfortable to others, not because you are wrong, but because you are not predictable. Detachment also protects relationships. When you are overly attached, you pressure others, you seek reassurance, you react emotionally to small changes. Detachment removes that pressure. It allows healthier interaction. It creates respect. You are no longer trying to control outcomes. You are controlling yourself. This does not mean you withdraw from life. It means you engage wisely. You still show up. You still care, but you do not cling. There is a key shift that makes detachment powerful. You stop needing things to go your way to feel okay. This mindset creates freedom. When you are free internally, you are harder to manipulate. People cannot use guilt, fear, or approval to control you. Detached people are difficult to provoke. They are difficult to pressure. They are difficult to dominate. This is why detachment is often mistaken for indifference. But indifference avoids. Detachment observes. Indifference checks out. Detachment stays present. One of the most practical ways to build detachment is reframing. Instead of asking, what does this mean about me? Ask, what is actually happening here? This small shift reduces emotional load. It moves you from identity to observation. Another practice is releasing the need to control reactions. You cannot control people. You cannot control outcomes. You can control your response. Detachment grows when you accept this fully. It is not passive. It is intentional. Over time, detachment becomes a stabilizer. You feel less anxious. You recover faster from setbacks. You stop riding emotional highs and lows. Your energy becomes consistent. This consistency builds confidence. People trust those who are stable. They respect those who are not easily shaken. Detachment allows you to make decisions without emotional distortion. You act from logic and values, not fear. At first, detachment feels uncomfortable. Your mind is used to attachment. It wants guarantees, but life offers none. Detachment accepts uncertainty. It moves forward anyway. This chapter is not teaching you to withdraw. It is teaching you to stand on your own. You do not need to cling to feel secure. You do not need to react to feel alive. Strength comes from steadiness. Confidence comes from independence. Detachment is not weakness. It is self-mastery. Chapter 4. The Psychology of Unshakable Confidence. Confidence is often mistaken for personality. Some people think you are born with it. Others believe it comes from success, status, or approval. That belief is false. Unshakable confidence is psychological. It is built internally. It is trained. Most people try to appear confident. They focus on posture, voice, and presence. Those things matter, but they are not the source. The source is how the mind interprets experience. Unconfident people attach meaning too quickly. A look becomes rejection. Silence becomes judgment. Failure becomes identity. Confident people process differently. They separate events from self-worth. They observe without personalizing. This mental separation is critical. When you tie your value to outcomes, confidence becomes fragile. One mistake can collapse it. One opinion can shake it. Unshakable confidence removes that link. It says, "This happened, but it does not define me." The psychology behind this is simple but powerful. Your mind reacts based on interpretation, not reality. Change the interpretation, and the reaction changes. Confident minds slow down meaning. Instead of asking, "What does this say about me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" This shift reduces emotional volatility. It keeps the ego from hijacking perception. Another core element of unshakable confidence is self-trust. Self-trust is not believing you will always win. It is believing you can handle the outcome. People with low confidence fear discomfort. They fear embarrassment. They fear rejection. People with high confidence accept discomfort as temporary. They know it will pass. They do not avoid life to avoid feeling. This acceptance removes fear. Your nervous system plays a major role here. When you panic easily, your body stays in alert mode. Your mind follows. Calm confidence requires nervous system regulation, slow breathing, still posture, measured movement. When the body is calm, the mind stabilizes. This is why confident people appear relaxed. Their bodies are not braced for attack. Another psychological trait of confident people is internal orientation. They reference themselves first. Their standards come from within. External opinions are information, not instruction. Unconfident minds outsource authority. They wait for validation. They seek permission. Internal orientation removes that dependency. This does not mean ignoring feedback. It means choosing what matters. Confidence also grows through exposure. Avoidance weakens it. Engagement strengthens it. Each time you face a situation without overreacting, you build evidence. Evidence that you can handle pressure. Evidence that you will survive discomfort. That evidence compounds. Over time, your mind learns something important. You are capable. This belief cannot be shaken by opinion. It is rooted in experience. Another important factor is identity alignment. Confident people act in ways that match who they believe they are. They keep promises to themselves. They follow through. Each act of integrity reinforces confidence. Each broken promise erodes it. This is why small habits matter. They shape self-image. If you say you will stay calm and you do, confidence grows. If you say you will pause and you do, trust builds. Unshakable confidence is built in private moments, not public ones. It is built when no one is watching. When you choose restraint, when you choose discipline, it is also built by letting go of perfection. Perfection creates fear. Fear weakens confidence. Confident people allow mistakes. They correct without self-attack. They treat errors as feedback, not failure. One practical exercise is thought distancing. When a negative thought appears, do not argue with it. Label it. This is a thought. This creates separation. It reduces emotional impact. Thoughts lose power when they are observed, not obeyed. Over time, this practice builds mental stability. Unshakable confidence does not announce itself. It does not need attention. It shows in consistency. It shows in calm. It shows in restraint. This chapter is not about pretending to be confident. It is about understanding the mental systems behind it. When you change the system, the behavior follows. Confidence becomes natural, not forced, not fragile, unshakable. Chapter 5. Stop explaining yourself. Most people explain too much. They justify their choices. They defend their decisions. They fill silence with reasons. They do this because they want approval. They want to be understood. They want to avoid discomfort. But constant explanation weakens your position. When you explain yourself too often, you send an invisible message. You say you are unsure. You say you need permission. You say your decision is open for debate. Confident people do not live like this. They make decisions. They stand by them. They allow others to react without stepping in to manage emotions. This does not mean they are rude. It means they are grounded. There is a difference between clarity and justification. Clarity informs. Justification seeks acceptance. Most people cross that line without realizing it. They say yes, then explain why. They say no, then apologize. They share a boundary, then soften it with excuses. Each extra word reduces authority. Think about a simple example. Someone asks why you cannot attend an event. You could say, "I will not be able to make it." Or you could add a long explanation. The first response is calm and complete. The second invites negotiation. Explanations create openings. Openings invite pressure. This is why people who over-explain often feel drained. They are constantly managing expectations. They are constantly defending choices that were already valid. Strong confidence removes that burden. You are allowed to decide without defending yourself. You are allowed to say no without guilt. You are allowed to choose without permission. This is difficult at first. Your mind expects pushback. It expects judgment. But here is the truth. Most people are not asking for clarity. They are testing boundaries. When you explain, you teach them that pressure works. When you stay firm, you teach them respect. This applies to work, relationships, and daily life. At work, over-explaining looks like insecurity. In relationships, it looks like neediness. In leadership, it looks like weakness. Minimal explanation communicates certainty. This does not mean you never explain. It means you explain only when it adds value. A useful guideline is this: if your explanation changes nothing, do not give it. If it improves understanding, offer it calmly. If it is only meant to protect your ego, pause. Silence can feel uncomfortable here. Your instinct will be to fill it. Resist that urge. Silence after a statement often strengthens it. It shows you are comfortable with your decision. Another reason people over-explain is fear of being misunderstood. But misunderstanding is part of life. You cannot control how others interpret you. Trying to manage every perception is exhausting, and it never works. Confident people accept this. They focus on alignment, not approval. They act in line with their values. They let others think what they will. This does not isolate them. It grounds them. One practical exercise is intentional brevity. In your next conversation, answer one question with fewer words. Not cold, not abrupt, just complete. Notice what happens. Most of the time, nothing bad occurs. The conversation moves on. Your anxiety fades. Another practice is removing unnecessary apologies. Apologize when you have caused harm, not when you have a preference, not when you have a boundary. Over-apologizing dilutes real accountability. It trains others to expect explanation. This chapter is not about dominance. It is about self-respect. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop negotiating your worth. You communicate confidence without raising your voice. People feel it. They sense your certainty. They sense your boundaries. And over time, they adjust. You will notice something else as well. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you explain less, your presence becomes stronger. You do not need to convince. You need to be clear. Stop explaining yourself. Let your decisions stand. Chapter 6. How silence intimidates without aggression. Silence makes many people uncomfortable. They rush to fill it with words. They mistake noise for strength. But silence has power, not aggressive power, not threatening power, quiet power. Silence works because it removes predictability. Most people rely on reactions to feel in control. When those reactions do not come, they feel exposed. This is why silence can intimidate without effort. It creates uncertainty. It shifts attention. It forces others to sit with themselves. Aggression tries to dominate. Silence does not need to. When you stay silent, you refuse to play emotional games. You do not escalate. You do not defend. You simply remain present. This presence is what unsettles people. Think about a tense conversation. Someone challenges you. They expect a response. They expect justification or emotion. Instead, you pause. You listen. You say nothing. In that moment, the pressure reverses. They begin to explain themselves. They add words. They reveal intention. Silence becomes a mirror. This does not mean you never speak. It means you choose timing. Timing is everything. Silence before speaking increases impact. Silence after speaking reinforces authority. When you speak too quickly, words lose weight. When you allow space, words land deeper. Silence also communicates confidence. It shows you are not rushed. It shows you are not threatened. In leadership, silence is often more effective than instruction. People read your composure. They follow your tone. In conflict, silence de-escalates. It removes fuel. Emotion cannot grow without reaction. This is why arguments often end when one person stops engaging emotionally. Silence is not passive. It is controlled. There is a difference between avoidance and restraint. Avoidance escapes. Restraint holds ground. Silent restraint says, I am here and I am steady. Another reason silence intimidates is because it suggests confidence in outcome. When you do not rush to defend, it implies you do not feel threatened. This can feel unsettling to others. They expect effort. They get calm. Silence also protects you. Words spoken in emotion cannot be taken back. Silence keeps you aligned with your values. A practical way to use silence is the pause. When someone finishes speaking, wait 2 seconds. Do not rush. Let the moment settle. This pause signals thoughtfulness. It slows the interaction. It gives you control. Another practice is the neutral response. Instead of reacting emotionally, acknowledge briefly. A nod, a simple phrase. Then stop. You are not withholding. You are choosing. Silence also trains others how to treat you. When emotional pressure does not work, it stops being used. People learn that you are not easily moved. This builds respect over time. It is important to understand intent. Silence is not used to punish. It is not used to manipulate. It is used to maintain alignment. When silence is calm, it feels grounded. When silence is angry, it feels hostile. The difference is internal state. Your silence should come from control, not resentment. At first, silence feels uncomfortable. You may feel exposed. You may feel misunderstood. That discomfort fades. With practice, silence becomes natural. You stop feeling the need to perform. You realize something important. You do not need to dominate. To be strong, you do not need volume to be heard. Silence does the work for you. It sets boundaries without confrontation. It communicates confidence without explanation. This chapter is about mastering that quiet edge. When used correctly, silence is not empty. It is full of presence. And presence is intimidating in the calmest way possible. Chapter 7. Emotional Independence. Emotional independence is freedom. It is the ability to feel without being controlled by feelings. It is the ability to care without becoming dependent. Most people are emotionally dependent without realizing it. Their mood depends on approval. Their confidence depends on outcomes. Their peace depends on how others behave. That is a fragile way to live. Emotional independence removes that fragility. It means your inner state is self-managed. It is not outsourced to people, opinions, or circumstances. This does not make you distant. It makes you stable. Dependent emotions react automatically. Independent emotions are chosen. This difference changes everything. Think about validation. When you depend on validation, silence feels like rejection. Neutral responses feel negative. Disagreement feels personal. Emotionally independent people interpret differently. They do not assign meaning without evidence. They remain grounded. They understand one simple truth. Other people's reactions are not measurements of your worth. This mindset protects confidence. Emotional independence also changes relationships. When you stop needing reassurance, interactions become lighter. You are not seeking constant confirmation. You are not emotionally chasing. This creates respect. People feel less pressure around you. They sense your self-sufficiency. Another sign of emotional independence is response flexibility. You are not locked into emotional habits. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can feel sadness without being consumed by it. Emotions pass through you instead of controlling you. This takes practice. One of the strongest ways to build emotional independence is self-validation. Notice your effort. Acknowledge your growth. Recognize your discipline. Do this privately. Do not wait for praise. The more you validate yourself, the less you need it from others. Another key practice is emotional responsibility. Your emotions belong to you. They are not caused by others. Others may trigger them, but they do not own them. This perspective returns power to you. Instead of saying, "They made me feel this way," you say, "I felt this, and I can manage it." This shift removes blame. It creates control. Emotional independence also requires comfort with disapproval. Not everyone will agree with you. Not everyone will like you. That is not a failure. It is reality. When you accept this, fear loosens its grip. You stop performing. You stop adjusting yourself to fit expectations. You become consistent. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds confidence. There is also strength in solitude. Emotionally independent people can be alone without feeling lonely. They do not use distraction to escape themselves. They are comfortable with their thoughts. They are grounded in their identity. This inner comfort makes them resilient. One practical exercise is emotional check-ins. When you feel unsettled, pause. Ask, "What am I feeling right now?" Name it. Do not judge it. Then ask, "What do I need from myself?" This builds internal support. Another exercise is reducing emotional leakage. Notice when you overshare emotions seeking comfort. Practice holding some experiences privately, not secrecy, selectivity. This builds emotional strength. Over time, emotional independence changes how you move through the world. You stop absorbing other people's stress. You stop carrying emotions that are not yours. You become calm in chaos. This calm is noticeable. People feel it. They respond to it. You are no longer easily pulled off center. You do not chase reassurance. You do not react to every shift in energy. You remain steady. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional mastery. Independence does not isolate you. It anchors you. And when you are anchored, confidence becomes natural. Emotional independence is not built overnight. It is built through daily choices. Each time you self-regulate, you grow stronger. Each time you choose calm, you reinforce control. This chapter is about reclaiming ownership of your inner world. When your emotions belong to you, so does your power. Chapter 8. Mastering Triggers. Triggers control people who do not understand them. A single word can change a mood. A look can start an argument. A memory can pull you off balance. This chapter is about removing that control. A trigger is not the event itself. It is your stored emotional response to it. The moment touches something unresolved inside you. That is why the same situation affects people differently. One person stays calm, another reacts instantly. The difference is not character, it is awareness. Most people try to avoid triggers. They walk around sensitive areas. They blame others for setting them off. That approach keeps the trigger alive. Mastery comes from facing it. The first step is recognition. When you feel a sudden emotional spike, pause. Notice the shift in your body. Tight chest, fast breathing, racing thoughts. This is the signal. Instead of reacting outward, turn inward. Ask a simple question. What exactly am I reacting to? Often it is not the present moment. It is a past experience, a wound, an old fear. Triggers are memories disguised as moments. When you see this clearly, their power weakens. Another important step is separating stimulus from story. The stimulus is what happened. The story is what your mind adds. For example, someone interrupts you. The stimulus is interruption. The story might be, I am being disrespected. That story creates emotion. Change the story, and the reaction changes. You can say, they may not be aware, or this does not define my value. This reframing is not denial, it is control. Triggers also thrive on speed. They hijack you because they are fast. Slowing the moment breaks the pattern. One deep breath, one pause, one moment of awareness. That is often enough. Another powerful tool is exposure with intention. Avoidance reinforces fear. Controlled exposure builds strength. If certain situations trigger you, engage them calmly, not to provoke yourself, but to train regulation. Stay present, stay aware. Each time you do this, the trigger weakens. It learns that it no longer controls you. There is also value in physical grounding. When triggered, return to the body. Feel your feet. Relax your jaw. Slow your breath. The body anchors the mind. Triggers lose power when the nervous system is regulated. It is also important to understand that not every trigger needs confrontation. Mastery does not mean engaging every emotion. It means choosing your response. Sometimes the strongest move is disengagement. Other times it is calm communication. The key is choice. Triggers thrive on unconsciousness. Awareness dissolves them. Another long-term strategy is emotional completion. Unprocessed emotions stay stored. They surface as triggers. Journaling, reflection, quiet processing. These practices release stored tension. When emotions are acknowledged, they stop demanding attention. You may notice something interesting as you master triggers. Situations that once upset you no longer do. People who once controlled your mood lose influence. This is not because they changed. It is because you did. Your confidence grows quietly here. You trust yourself in emotional moments. You know you can handle pressure. That trust is powerful. Mastering triggers does not make you emotionless. It makes you deliberate. You still feel. You just do not explode. You do not suppress. You regulate. This chapter is about reclaiming moments that once controlled you. When triggers lose their grip, you move freely, and freedom is the foundation of dangerous confidence. Chapter 9. Becoming unbothered in a noisy world. The world is loud. Opinions arrive non-stop. Messages demand attention. Reactions are expected instantly. Noise is everywhere. Most people live inside it. They absorb moods, trends, and outrage without realizing it. Their emotions rise and fall with the volume of the world. This chapter is about stepping out of that chaos. Being unbothered does not mean you are unaware. It means you are selective. You choose what enters your mind. You choose what deserves emotional space. Noise is not just sound. It is information overload. It is comparison. It is constant stimulation. Toad. When the mind is overloaded, it becomes reactive. Calm disappears. Focus weakens. Unbothered people protect their attention. They understand that attention is a resource. Once spent, it does not return easily. One reason noise affects people so deeply is emotional contagion. Emotions spread quickly. Anxiety passes from person to person. Anger multiplies online. If you are not careful, you absorb what you never chose. Becoming unbothered starts with awareness. Notice how certain content makes you feel. Notice which conversations drain you. Notice what pulls you out of calm. This is not judgment. It is information. From there, boundaries become easier. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. You do not need to respond to every message. You do not need to engage with every opinion. You do not need to defend your peace. Another key shift is reducing reactivity to urgency. Not everything urgent is important. Noise thrives on urgency. Pause before responding. Most things lose intensity with time. This pause returns control. Unbothered people move at their own pace. They do not rush because others are loud. They stay aligned with priorities. Comparison is another major source of disturbance. Social platforms show highlights, not reality. Comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's surface creates tension. Unbothered people compare less. They focus inward. They measure progress against themselves, not against noise. Another powerful practice is mental minimalism. Simplify inputs. Reduce excess information. Create space. Silence restores clarity. Even short periods of quiet recalibrate the mind. There is also strength in routine. A steady routine creates internal rhythm. Noise loses power when your inner world is structured. You wake, work, rest, and reflect with intention. This consistency grounds you. Being unbothered also means accepting what you cannot control. News, trends, other people's emotions. You stay informed, not immersed. Concern without control leads to anxiety. Acceptance brings peace. One practical technique is the emotional gate. Before engaging, ask, is this worth my energy? If not, let it pass. This small question prevents countless distractions. Over time, your tolerance for noise decreases, not because you are fragile, but because you value clarity. People may notice your calm. They may question your detachment. That is fine. Peace does not need approval. As you become unbothered, your reactions slow, your focus sharpens, your confidence deepens. You stop being pulled by every wave. You become steady. This chapter is about choosing inner quiet in a loud world. When you are unbothered, you move with clarity, you respond with intention, and nothing outside of you decides your state. Chapter 10. The Discipline of Self-Control. Self-control is not restriction, it is direction. Most people hear the word discipline and think of force. They imagine pressure, denial, and struggle. They think self-control means fighting yourself all day. That is not true. Real self-control is alignment. It is choosing long-term clarity over short-term relief. It is acting in a way that supports who you want to become. Self-control is quiet. It happens in small moments. Moments most people never notice. These moments shape confidence. Every time you resist an impulsive reaction, you strengthen control. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you build authority over yourself. Most people live impulsively. They speak when emotional. They act when triggered. They decide when uncomfortable. Impulse feels natural. Control feels intentional. That is why impulse dominates. Self-control begins with awareness. You cannot control what you do not notice. Pay attention to patterns. Notice when you lose patience. Notice when you reach for distraction. Notice when you react to discomfort. These are training points, not failures. Self-control is a skill. Skills improve with repetition. One powerful shift is learning to delay. Delay is discipline in action. When you feel the urge to respond immediately, wait. When you want to escape discomfort, stay present. When you want to explain yourself, pause. Delay creates space. Space creates choice. Choice creates power. Self-control also depends on physical state. When you are tired, hungry, or overstimulated, control weakens. Your nervous system seeks relief. This is why routines matter. Consistent sleep, simple nutrition, movement. These are not lifestyle trends. They are foundations of control. A regulated body supports a regulated mind. Another element of self-control is emotional honesty. Suppression drains energy. Control does not. Control acknowledges emotion without obeying it. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can feel fear without retreating. You can feel desire without chasing it. This ability separates discipline from repression. Self-control also grows through commitment. When you keep promises to yourself, trust builds. When you break them, trust weakens. Start small. One promise, one habit, one decision honored. Consistency matters more than intensity. People often fail at self-control because they aim too high. They demand perfection. They quit when they slip. Disciplined people adjust. They return. They continue. Self-control is not about never failing. It is about recovering quickly. Another key principle is removing unnecessary temptation. Do not rely on willpower alone. Design your environment. Reduce distractions. Limit exposure. Simplify choices. Discipline becomes easier when the environment supports it. Self-control also sharpens communication. You stop speaking to release emotion. You speak to convey meaning. You stop reacting to provocation. You respond with intention. This restraint changes how others perceive you. People trust those who are consistent. They respect those who are steady. Self-control creates predictability in behavior. That predictability builds confidence in others. More importantly, it builds confidence in yourself. You know you can rely on you. That knowledge is grounding. Self-control also protects your future. Words spoken in impulse echo longer than silence. Actions taken in emotion create lasting consequences. Discipline prevents regret. One powerful mindset shift is this: you are not denying yourself. You are investing in yourself. Each controlled choice compounds. Over time you notice something. You feel calmer. You feel clearer. You feel less pulled by urges. Control becomes natural, not forced, not tense. Calm control. This is the discipline that builds dangerous confidence. Not control over others, control over self. This chapter is about building that discipline daily, quietly, consistently, because when you master self-control, very little can control you. Chapter 11. When to speak and when to stay silent. Knowing how to speak is useful. Knowing when to speak is powerful. Most people talk too quickly. They respond before understanding. They speak to relieve tension, not to add value. Silence feels uncomfortable to them, so they escape it. Confident people do the opposite. They are comfortable with silence. They treat words as tools, not reflexes. This chapter is about timing. Speaking and silence are both forms of communication. Each sends a message. The question is whether that message serves you. Speaking without purpose creates noise. Silence with intention creates weight. The strongest communicators understand this balance. Let us start with silence. Silence gives you information. When you stay quiet, others reveal more. They fill the space. They explain. They expose intent. When you rush to speak, you interrupt this process. Silence also prevents emotional mistakes. Most regret comes from words spoken too early. Anger passes. Embarrassment fades. But words remain. Staying silent gives emotions time to settle. This does not mean you avoid expression. It means you wait until clarity arrives. One useful rule is simple. If emotion is high, silence is safer. This applies in arguments, negotiations, and decisions. Pause until your tone can remain steady. Now consider speaking. Speaking is powerful when it is precise, when it is calm, when it is intentional. Confident people do not speak to impress. They speak to clarify. They speak to lead. They speak to resolve. Their words are measured because they do not rush. Another important principle is relevance. Ask yourself before speaking, does this improve understanding? Does this move the situation forward? If not, silence may be stronger. Many people speak to defend their ego. They explain. They justify. They correct. This often weakens their position. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You do not need to answer every comment. You do not need to win every exchange. Silence communicates security. There is also power in delayed speech. You do not need to answer immediately. A pause suggests thought. It suggests depth. This is especially effective in professional settings. A calm pause before responding shows confidence. It shows you are not rushed. It shows control. Another area where silence matters is listening. Most people listen to reply. They prepare responses instead of understanding. Strong communicators listen fully. They absorb tone, emotion, and intent. When you listen more than you speak, you gain leverage. You understand dynamics. You notice what others miss. Listening is an active form of silence. There are also moments when silence is a mistake. Staying silent when boundaries are crossed weakens respect. Staying silent when values are violated erodes self-trust. This is where discernment matters. Silence should come from strength, not fear. If you are silent to avoid discomfort, that is avoidance. If you are silent to maintain alignment, that is control. The difference is intention. Speaking becomes necessary when clarity is required, when direction is needed, when boundaries must be stated. In those moments, speak calmly and briefly. State what matters. Then stop. Do not over-explain. Do not soften unnecessarily. Let your words stand. Another helpful guideline is this. Speak once. Speak clearly. Then allow silence. Repeating yourself weakens authority. Trust that your message was received. If it was not respected, repetition will not fix it. Action will. This chapter is also about restraint in expression. You do not need to share every thought. Not every emotion needs a voice. Selective expression builds mystery and strength. People who say less are often taken more seriously, not because they are smarter, but because they are deliberate. Over time, this balance changes how others interact with you. They listen when you speak. They notice when you pause. Your presence carries weight. This balance also strengthens internal confidence. You stop fearing silence. You stop fearing judgment. You trust yourself to choose the right moment. Speaking and silence are not opposites. They are partners. One creates space. The other fills it with meaning. Master both. When you know when to speak and when to stay silent, you control the rhythm of interaction, and control of rhythm is control of influence. Chapter 12. Respect without demanding it. Respect cannot be forced. The moment you demand it, you lose it. Many people chase respect by asserting dominance. They raise their voice. They remind others of their position. They push for recognition. This creates compliance, not respect. Real respect is quieter. It forms through consistency. It grows through behavior. This chapter is about earning respect without asking for it. Respect begins with self-respect. If you do not respect your own time, others will not. If you do not honor your boundaries, others will test them. If you compromise your values, others will sense it. People respond to how you treat yourself. Self-respect shows in small actions. You arrive prepared. You follow through. You do what you say. These signals build credibility. Respect also comes from emotional steadiness. People trust those who are stable. They feel safe around those who do not overreact. They listen to those who remain calm under pressure. Volatile behavior erodes respect. Consistency strengthens it. Another key element is boundary clarity. Boundaries do not need aggression. They need firmness. You state what you accept. You state what you do not. Then you act accordingly. You do not argue boundaries. You enforce them through action. This creates predictability. Predictability builds respect. Many people weaken their boundaries by explaining too much. They justify. They apologize. This signals uncertainty. Clear boundaries spoken once are enough. Another important factor is non-neediness. When you seek respect, you signal lack. When you stop chasing it, respect has space to grow. Confident people do not seek validation. They move with internal approval. This independence is noticeable. People respect those who do not need their respect. Another behavior that earns respect is restraint. You do not respond to every provocation. You do not engage in petty conflict. You choose what matters. This selectivity communicates maturity. Respect also grows from fairness. Treat people consistently. Do not shift behavior based on advantage. Do not flatter up or attack down. Integrity is respected, even when it is not liked. Respect also comes from listening. When people feel heard, they feel valued. Listening without interrupting builds trust. This does not mean agreeing. It means acknowledging. People respect those who can disagree without hostility. Another powerful factor is competence. When you are reliable, respect follows. When you perform consistently, words become unnecessary. Competence speaks quietly but clearly. There is also strength in humility. Admitting mistakes does not reduce respect. Avoiding responsibility does. Accountability builds credibility. One practical shift is removing the need to correct others publicly. Correction in private preserves dignity. Preserving dignity builds respect. Public embarrassment creates resentment. Respect cannot grow there. It is also important to accept that not everyone will respect you. Trying to win respect from everyone leads to compromise. Compromise weakens identity. Focus on alignment, not approval. Respect from the right people matters more. Over time, something interesting happens. When you stop demanding respect, people offer it. When you stop proving yourself, your presence does the work. This chapter is not about strategy. It is about embodiment. You live in a way that makes respect natural, quiet, consistent, grounded. Respect follows behavior, always. Chapter 13. The calm mind in conflict. Conflict reveals who you are, not when things are easy, but when pressure appears. Most people fear conflict. They either avoid it or explode inside it. Both reactions give away control. A calm mind changes the entire dynamic. Calm does not mean passive. It means steady. When your mind stays calm, you think clearly. You hear what is actually being said. You respond instead of reacting. Conflict escalates through emotion. Remove the emotion, and the conflict loses momentum. This is why calm is powerful. The first battle in conflict is internal. If you lose composure, you lose leverage. Your words become weapons instead of tools. A calm mind keeps words clean. One reason conflict triggers people is identity threat. They feel attacked. They feel disrespected. The mind interprets this as danger. Calm comes from separating the issue from the self. You can disagree without being diminished. You can be challenged without being threatened. This separation keeps emotions regulated. Another key factor is breathing. During conflict, breathing becomes shallow. This signals danger to the body. The body reacts. Slow breathing signals safety. Safety allows thinking. A few slow breaths can change the entire interaction. Another principle is slowing the pace. Conflict thrives on speed. Fast words, quick reactions, slow speech reduces intensity. Pauses reduce pressure. You do not need to match energy. You can lower it. This often surprises people. They expect escalation. They meet calm. Calm disrupts patterns. Listening is also critical in conflict. Most people listen to respond. Calm minds listen to understand. Understanding does not mean agreeing. It means clarity. When people feel understood, defensiveness drops. The conflict softens. Another powerful tool is neutral language. Avoid accusations. Avoid absolutes. Speak in facts and feelings, not judgments. This keeps the conversation grounded. There are moments when conflict requires firmness. Calm does not mean surrender. It means clear boundaries. You state your position. You maintain your tone. You do not attack. Firm calm is difficult to challenge. Another important insight is choosing outcome over ego. Ego wants to win. Calm wants resolution. Ask yourself, what is the goal here? Clarity shifts focus. Sometimes the goal is understanding. Sometimes it is agreement. Sometimes it is disengagement. Calm allows you to choose. It is also important to know when to end conflict. Not every issue needs resolution. Some need distance. Walking away calmly preserves dignity. It protects energy. Leaving is not losing. It is choosing peace. After conflict, reflection matters. Ask what triggered you. Ask what stayed calm. This reflection strengthens future responses. Calm in conflict is not natural at first. It is trained. Each calm response builds confidence. Each measured moment reinforces control. Over time, conflict loses its power over you. You stop fearing it. You stop avoiding it. People notice. They sense your steadiness. They adjust their tone. Calm becomes contagious. This chapter is about mastering inner state under pressure. When the mind is calm, conflict becomes manageable. Communication becomes effective, and confidence remains intact. Chapter 14. The identity of a dangerously confident person. Dangerous confidence is not something you turn on. It is something you become. By now, you have learned skills. You have learned restraint. You have learned control. But skills alone are not enough. Confidence becomes unshakable only when it becomes identity. Identity answers one question: who am I when no one is watching? A dangerously confident person does not perform confidence. They live it. They do not switch personalities based on environment. They are the same in pressure and in calm. Their behavior is consistent. This consistency creates strength. Most people struggle because their identity is fragile. It changes with approval. It shifts with outcomes. It bends under pressure. A strong identity does not move like that. It is rooted. The identity of a dangerously confident person begins with self-trust. They trust their judgment. They trust their restraint. They trust their ability to handle discomfort. They do not need constant reassurance. They do not look outward for stability. This trust is earned. It comes from keeping promises to themselves, from choosing control repeatedly, from staying aligned even when it is inconvenient. Dangerous confidence is built quietly. It shows in how you walk away from unnecessary conflict. It shows in how you pause before speaking. It shows in how you stay calm when tested. These behaviors form identity. Another defining trait is emotional sovereignty. A dangerously confident person owns their inner world. Their mood is not controlled by others. Their emotions are not easily hijacked. They feel fully, but they choose their responses. This emotional independence makes them unpredictable in the best way. They cannot be baited easily. They cannot be rushed. They cannot be manipulated through pressure. That is dangerous, not because they harm others, but because they cannot be controlled. Another core part of this identity is selective engagement. They do not react to everything. They do not explain themselves endlessly. They do not seek to be understood by everyone. They choose where to invest energy. This selectivity sharpens presence. When they speak, people listen. When they stay silent, it is noticed. Their attention is focused. Their actions are intentional. Dangerously confident people are also comfortable being misunderstood. They do not rush to correct every perception. They do not chase clarity at the cost of alignment. They know who they are. That certainty replaces explanation. Another defining feature is calm dominance. Not loud dominance. Not aggressive dominance. Calm dominance. It is the kind that fills a room quietly. The kind that settles chaos instead of adding to it. People feel it before they understand it. This calm comes from self-control, from emotional regulation, from restraint practiced daily. Dangerous confidence also carries humility. Not insecurity, humility. People's superiority. They do not need to belittle others. Their confidence does not depend on comparison. They focus on growth. They correct mistakes without self-attack. They adjust without ego collapse. This flexibility strengthens identity. People strong without being brittle. Another important aspect is long-term thinking. A dangerously confident person does not sacrifice the future for the moment. They think beyond impulse. They act with awareness of consequence. They protect their reputation. People They understand that confidence compounds. Every controlled reaction adds to it. Every disciplined choice reinforces it. Over time, this identity becomes automatic. They no longer try to be calm. They are calm. They no longer try to be confident. They are confident. This is the final shift. You stop managing behavior. You start living alignment. The world responds differently to this identity. People They sense boundaries. They adjust expectations. But because your presence set the tone, this is what it means to be dangerously confident. Not reckless. Not loud. Unshakable. Grounded. Unmoved. You do not react to everything. You do not explain yourself endlessly. You do not give your power away. You carry it. And once this identity is formed, very little in the world can take it from you. This is not an ending. It is a standard. Live from it. Conclusion. The quiet power you now carry. Confidence does not arrive suddenly. It is built, moment by moment, choice by choice. Throughout this book, one truth has remained constant. Your power grows when you stop reacting. You have learned that calm is not weakness. Silence is not absence. Detachment is not indifference. They are forms of control. When you stop reacting, you reclaim your attention. When you control your emotions, you protect your clarity. When you choose restraint, you strengthen your identity. This is not about becoming untouchable. It is about becoming unmovable. The world will remain loud. People will still test you. Situations will still challenge your composure. That does not change. What changes is you. You no longer rush to explain. You no longer react to provocation. You no longer outsource your emotional state. You pause. You observe. You decide. This pause is where confidence lives. Dangerous confidence does not announce itself. It does not seek validation. It does not need approval. It shows in how you walk away. It shows in how you remain calm under pressure. It shows in how little the world can shake you. You now understand that self-control is freedom, that silence can speak louder than words, that emotional independence is strength. These are not ideas to admire, they are standards to live by. There will be moments when old habits return, moments when reaction feels easier. That is normal. What matters is awareness. Each time you choose restraint, you reinforce your identity. Each time you remain calm, you deepen your confidence. Each time you do not react, you keep your power. This is a lifelong practice, not perfection, progress. Carry this forward. Move through the world steady. Speak with intention. Respond only when it matters. Let others rush. Let others react. You do not need to. Your presence is enough. Your control is enough. You now understand the difference, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This is not the end. It is the beginning of how you move from now on, quietly, intentionally, confidently.